Night, late dry season. On the short grass plains of the Serengeti, the heat of the day still radiates from the earth in slow, wavering currents. The wind has fallen. In the distance, a column of dust hangs motionless, suspended in the darkness like a fading memory of movement. Then a sound carries across the open land. Not a roar, not a howl, but a rising manic chorus of whoops and cackles. Spotted hyenas are on the move. Shapes materialize at the edge of the gloom, low-shouldered silhouettes flowing over the ground with tireless efficiency. Their noses sweep the air, parsing invisible trails of scent left by panic, weakness, opportunity. Somewhere ahead, a herd animal has faltered. The night belongs to endurance hunters, to jaws built not just to kill, but to erase every trace of flesh and bone by morning. In the darkness, there is no spectacle, no malice, only the ancient arithmetic of hunger closing in. Spotted hyenas, Crocuta crocuta, are among the most successful large carnivores ever to evolve on the African continent. Despite their superficial resemblance to canids, they belong to their own ancient lineage, more closely related to cats than to wolves or dogs. Fossil evidence traces their ancestors back over 20 million years, to a time when Africa's landscapes were shifting toward the open savannas that dominate today. In these expanding grasslands, speed alone was not enough. Survival favored endurance, intelligence, and the ability to extract nourishment from resources other predators left behind. Across ecosystems such as the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro crater, spotted hyenas occupy a role both feared and essential. They are not merely scavengers, as once believed, but highly efficient hunters responsible for the majority of their own kills. Long-distance tracking studies using GPS collars have shown clans covering more than 40 kilometers in a single night, navigating territories that can exceed 1,000 square kilometers. Their success lies in stamina. A hyena can maintain a ground-eating trot for hours, gradually exhausting prey that relies on explosive bursts of speed rather than sustained flight. Their anatomy reflects this strategy. The sloping back, powerful neck, and disproportionately large forequarters anchor one of the most formidable bite forces measured among mammals of comparable size. Specialized premolars act like bone shears, capable of crushing limb bones to access marrow, a calorie-dense resource inaccessible to most predators. This ability allows hyenas to recycle carcasses almost completely, returning nutrients to the ecosystem with ruthless efficiency. Even horns and hooves may disappear under the pressure of their jaws. Equally remarkable is their social structure. Spotted hyenas live in clans that can number up to 80 individuals, making them one of the most complex social carnivores outside primates. These societies are matriarchal. Females are larger, more aggressive, and inherit rank through maternal lines. Long-term behavioral studies have revealed stable hierarchies enforced through coalition building, vocal communication, and ritualized displays of submission. The eerie laugh, often associated with hyenas, is not madness but information. Signals that convey identity, status, and urgency across vast distances in the night. In ecological terms, hyenas function as both apex predators and cleanup crews. By hunting the weak, the injured, and the unwary, they shape prey populations and influence migration patterns. By consuming carrion rapidly, they limit the spread of disease and reduce opportunities for other scavengers. Their presence stabilizes the system even as their methods appear brutal. Where hyena clans thrive, the balance between life and decay remains tightly controlled, governed by the relentless logic of energy transfer across the food chain. Environmental pressures across eastern and southern Africa have shaped the spotted hyena into a predator defined by flexibility. Unlike specialists that depend on a narrow range of prey or habitat, hyenas persist in environments ranging from open savanna to semi-desert and even mountainous woodland. Their distribution stretches across much of sub-Saharan Africa, including regions such as the Kalahari Desert, where rainfall is scarce and prey movements are unpredictable. Here, survival depends on memory, the ability to recall distant water sources, migration corridors, and the shifting boundaries of rival clans. Seasonality governs life on these plains. During the wet months, herbivores disperse as grass becomes abundant, forcing hyenas to range widely in search of opportunity. In the dry season, animals concentrate around permanent water, creating temporary zones of abundance and conflict. Competition intensifies not only with prey, but with other predators. Lions, leopard, and African wild dogs share the same landscape, each imposing its own pressures. Hyenas frequently lose kills to lions, yet they also steal from smaller predators through sheer numbers and persistence. Observational studies have documented prolonged standoffs in which clans harass a prey for hours. Testing resolve until a moment of weakness allows them to reclaim the carcass. Intelligence underpins these interactions. Experiments conducted in controlled field conditions demonstrate that spotted hyenas can solve cooperative problems comparable to those tackled by primates. They recognize individual clan members by voice alone and adjust their behavior according to rank relationships remembered over years. Young hyenas learn by observation, shadowing adults during hunts and confrontations, gradually mastering the unwritten rules that govern clan life. This cultural transmission, knowledge passed through experience rather than instinct alone, increases survival in a landscape where mistakes are costly. Their reproductive biology also reflects harsh realities. Gestation lasts about 110 days, and cubs are born into communal dens carved into hard earth or abandoned burrows. Littermates often engage in immediate rivalry, sometimes fatal, as competition for maternal milk begins within minutes of birth. The milk itself is among the richest produced by any terrestrial carnivore, enabling rapid growth during the vulnerable early months when cubs cannot yet travel with the clan. Mortality is high, but those that survive inherit the social standing of their mothers, securing access to food and allies. Through hunting, scavenging, and competition, spotted hyenas act as regulators of the ecosystem's energy flow. They convert death into sustenance with unmatched efficiency, ensuring that little is wasted in a world defined by scarcity. Their reputation as villains is a human invention. In ecological terms, they are custodians of continuity, preventing the landscape from drowning in its own remains. In the long arc of evolution, their success is measured not in spectacle, but in persistence, a lineage that is endured by mastering the unforgiving mathematics of survival. Survival for a spotted hyena begins with endurance rather than confrontation. While many predators rely on ambush, hyenas often hunt through attrition, selecting targets that show the slightest sign of weakness, a limp, a lag in herd's rhythm, a moment of hesitation at a river crossing. Once identified, the pursuit is methodical. The clan spreads out, individuals taking turns at the front, maintaining relentless pressure until prey's muscles flood with exhaustion. This strategy minimizes risk. A powerful hoof or horn can maim or kill, so patience becomes their most effective weapon. Long-term field observations on the plains of the Serengeti reveal that such hunts can stretch for several kilometers, the outcome determined not by speed, but by the gradual collapse of stamina. Their hunting success is amplified by cooperation shaped through rigid social hierarchy. High-ranking females often feed first, but during the chase, roles blur into a coordinated flow of movement and communication. Subtle vocalizations, ear positions, and shifts in pace transmit intent across the group. Unlike wolves, hyenas do not rely on synchronized pack formations. Instead, their cooperation is fluid, adapting moment by moment to the prey's evasive maneuvers. This flexibility allows them to tackle a wide range of animals, from small antelope to fully grown wildebeest many times their weight. Defense, too, is part of survival biology. Hyenas frequently operate in contested space where encounters with lions are inevitable. A single lion can overpower a hyena, yet a determined clan can drive lions from a carcass through coordinated harassment. Individuals dart in to bite at flanks, retreating before a counterattack, wearing down the larger predator's patience. Such confrontations illustrate a principle repeated across the savanna. Size confers power, but numbers and persistence can rewrite the balance. Equally crucial is their digestive resilience. Hyenas routinely consume meat in advanced stages of decay, along with skin, bone, and even keratin-rich material like horns. Their stomach acids are highly concentrated, neutralizing pathogens that would sicken other carnivores. This ability transforms them into biological recyclers, extracting energy from what others cannot use. In doing so, they reduce waste and limit disease outbreaks that might otherwise spread through scavenger populations. Another angle emerges in their cognitive world, an intelligence honed for navigating complex social alliances and unpredictable prey behavior. Studies using playback experiments show that hyenas can distinguish between the calls of dominant and subordinate individuals, responding differently depending on perceived risk. They also demonstrate foresight, approaching potential feeding opportunities cautiously, assessing the presence of rivals before committing. This capacity for assessment reduces unnecessary injury, a critical advantage for animals whose survival depends on remaining mobile night after night. Through endurance hunting, cooperative dynamics, defensive adaptability, physiological resilience, and advanced cognition, the spotted hyena embodies a predator shaped less by brute force than by efficiency. Its methods may appear chaotic in fleeting glimpses caught on camera, but beneath the frenzy lies a system refined by millions of years, a blueprint for survival written in stamina, intelligence, and a quiet discipline of persistence. Another dimension of hyena life unfolds in the architecture of their society, a matriarchal order that shapes every interaction, from feeding rights to breeding opportunities. Female spotted hyenas dominate males in both size and authority, an unusual structure among large carnivores. Rank is inherited, not earned. Cubs born to high-status mothers enter the world with immediate advantages, feeding earlier at kills and receiving protection during disputes. Long-term research in the Ngorongoro crater has shown that these hierarchies can remain stable for generations, forming lineages that define the clan's internal politics. For young hyenas, survival depends as much on social positioning as on physical strength. Parenting within this system is both communal and fiercely competitive. Cubs are raised in shared dens where dozens may gather, yet maternal care remains exclusive. A mother recognizes her offspring by scent and voice alone, nursing only her own even when other cubs press close in hunger. Rivalry between siblings begins immediately. Dominance established in the first weeks can determine access to milk and, ultimately, survival. Despite the harshness, this early contest prepares cubs for the unforgiving hierarchy they will navigate as adults. Play behavior, mock chases, biting, and wrestling doubles as training for the hunts and conflicts that define clan life. Interactions with rival species form another critical angle. Hyenas exist in constant negotiation with lions, their most formidable competitors. In regions like the Masai Mara, encounters between clans and prides are frequent and volatile. A lone hyena will yield instantly, but a coalition may advance with calculated boldness, testing whether numerical advantage can offset the lion's superior strength. These confrontations are rarely decisive. They are contests of risk assessment, each side probing the other's tolerance for injury. The outcome determines not just a single meal, but the energy reserves needed for days ahead. Moral neutrality defines all of these behaviors. Hyenas kill vulnerable prey, displace weaker predators, and sometimes lose their own young to starvation or violence. None of it is cruelty. None of it is mercy. It is an impersonal mechanism of natural selection operating in real time. What appears chaotic in isolated footage is, in ecological context, a stabilizing force. By removing the sick and the slow, hyenas help maintain the health of herbivore populations. By contesting lions and other predators, they prevent any single species from monopolizing resources. Seen through this lens, the spotted hyena becomes less a symbol of brutality and more a study in equilibrium, a species that thrives not by dominating the landscape outright, but by navigating its shifting tensions with relentless adaptability. Every chase, every confrontation, every night patrol across the plains is part of a larger system in which survival is provisional and balance is never permanent. The moon has not yet risen when the herd begins to bunch, a tightening circle of muscle and breath on the open plain. Wildebeest, thousands strong, drift uneasily across the dry grasslands of Serengeti, their hooves whispering against the dust. Calves born during the last rains now struggle to match the pace of adults. One stumbles. The hesitation is brief, almost imperceptible, but it fractures the herd's rhythm. In the darkness beyond the grazing line, shapes detach from the land itself. The clan has been trailing the migration for days, moving parallel to its edge, conserving energy while waiting for weakness to surface. Now they advance with deliberate focus. There is no sudden charge. Instead, individuals fan outward, forming a loose crescent that narrows the calves' escape routes. Low contact calls pass between them. Quiet, functional signals coordinating distance and direction. The herd senses the pressure and surges, but the calf lags again, lungs already burning from the earlier stumble. A lead female accelerates into a steady lope, not sprinting, simply closing space with mechanical certainty. Another hyena moves to intercept, forcing the calf to veer sideways, away from the protective mass of adults. The tactic is precise: separation before exhaustion, confusion before collapse. The calf attempts to double back, but the crescent tightens, guiding it toward open ground where no body is shielded from view. Minutes stretch. The chase becomes a moving corridor of dust and dim shapes, the sound of hooves replaced by the harsher rhythm of breathing pushed beyond its limits. The calf's stride shortens. Its head drops. A hyena darts in, testing with a quick bite to the flank, then withdraws before a desperate kick can land. Another repeats the maneuver from the opposite side. Blood darkens the hide, marking the moment when the balance tips from pursuit to inevitability. There is no final dramatic blow. The calf falters, collapses, and the clan closes around it in a surge of motion driven by hunger and opportunity. Within minutes, the struggle subsides into the low, grinding sounds of feeding. The herd has already moved on, its collective survival dependent on distance rather than resistance. Above the plain, the night remains unchanged, vast, indifferent, absorbing the violence without acknowledgement. Feeding is not chaos, but order enforced through rank. As the dust settles, the dominant female pushes forward, her authority asserted through posture alone. Head high, jaws parted, a low vibration in her throat that warns subordinates to keep their distance. She begins at the hindquarters, where muscle is thickest, and entry requires the crushing force of specialized teeth. Skin yields, then fascia, then the dense architecture of muscle shaped by month of migration. Others wait in a tense perimeter, shifting, vocalizing in subdued pulses that signal frustration without open defiance. Lower-ranking adults edge closer when the matriarch lifts her head to reposition. They dart into seize fragments, retreating instantly to avoid retaliatory bites. The carcass diminishes with startling speed. Bone splinters under premolars capable of exerting pressures that rival those of much larger predators. Marrow is consumed, organs disappear, and even the rumen, heavy with half-digested grass, becomes sustenance in a landscape where energy is never wasted. Then the balance shifts again. From the darkness comes a deeper sound, a rolling contact call that alters the clan's posture. Lions! A pride has detected commotion and is approaching with the slow confidence of animals accustomed to dominance. The hyenas stiffen, some continuing to feed in hurried gulps, others turning outward to face the unseen threat. They are numerous, but numbers do not guarantee victory. Amber eyes materialize at the edge of visibility, followed by the massive silhouettes of lionesses advancing shoulder to shoulder. A bluff charge scatters the outer ring of hyenas, though several hold their ground, snapping and lunging in coordinated feints. For a moment the scene hangs in unstable equilibrium, two apex forces measuring risk against reward. Injury here could mean starvation later. Even success carries cost. The matriarch withdraws first, not in panic, but in calculation, dragging a torn limb away from the core of the carcass. Subordinates follow, each salvaging what they can as the pride claims the remains. The confrontation dissolves into parallel feeding sites scattered across the plain, the prey's body divided among rival consumers whose survival depends on the same finite resource. By the time the moon finally clears the horizon, little remains but a dark stain on the grass and fragments of bone already being carried off into the night. Energy has changed hands, transferred from herbivore to carnivore, from one predator to another, continuing its passage through the living system. Before dawn, the clan regroups in a shallow depression several kilometers from the kill site, their bellies distended, movement slowed by the weight of fresh meat. One by one, they lower themselves to ground, sides heaving as their bodies divert energy toward digestion. Steam rises faintly from their coats in the cool air. Feeding has ended, but survival work continues internally, acids breaking down bone, enzymes extracting the last usable calories from tissues that hours earlier sustained another life. Not all members benefited equally. Subordinate individuals that fed last carry less, their ribs still faintly visible beneath the spotted hide. These disparities shape the clan's future. Well-fed females will produce richer milk, increasing the survival chances of their cubs waiting at the den. Those that ate little may travel again before sunset, compelled by a hunger that cannot be postponed. In this way, a single hunt ripples forward through generations, influencing who thrives and who fades. At the communal den, hidden among eroded earth mounds on the margins of the Serengeti, cubs emerge cautiously as the first gray light seeps into the sky. They greet returning adults with high-pitched squeals, muzzles probing for the scent of blood that signals success. Mothers respond selectively, allowing only their own offspring to nurse. The milk they provide is dense with fat and protein, converting the night's violence into growth. Some cubs feed vigorously. Others wait, their patience enforced by the rank of their lineage. Scavenger birds begin to circle far behind, descending upon the abandoned remains. Vultures tear at the scraps left by lions, their own role in the sequence of consumption, completing the transfer of nutrients back to the soil. What the hyenas crush and the lions claim will soon become sustenance for insects, microbes, and eventually the grass itself, the same grass that will feed the next generation of herbivores. For the clan, the aftermath is a brief equilibrium. Injuries are assessed through instinctive grooming. Limping individuals rest in the shade, conserving strength. Social tensions ease temporarily, bellies full enough to mute aggression. Yet this calm is provisional. By nightfall, the demands of metabolism will reassert themselves, drawing hunters once more into motion across a landscape where survival is measured in cycles, not victories. By mid-morning, the full toll of the night's exertion becomes evident. Limbs bruised from minor skirmishes with rival hyenas, cuts from the carcass's bones, and abrasions in the sprint across hard terrain leave visible marks on several adults. Field studies have shown that such injuries rarely prove fatal, yet they influence hierarchy and feeding efficiency. The matriarch moves with the confidence of experience, her gait unbroken, while lower-ranking members carry subtle reminders of risk endured. Small scars along flanks, nicked ears, and teeth marks from disputed scraps. Each mark tells a story, a record of survival etched into the body rather than the mind. Across the savanna, prey populations adjust subtly in response to the night's events. The loss of even a single calf can shift her behavior, altering grazing patterns and vigilance levels. Over time, these adjustments propagate, influencing plant growth, nutrient distribution, and predator-prey interactions in ways both immediate and long-term. Hyenas, by their persistence and efficiency, act as regulators of this dynamic system. They are neither cruel nor kind. Their impact is a function of survival, not morality. Social structures respond to outcomes as well. Dominance hierarchies are reinforced through feeding order, minor disputes, and coalition displays. Individuals that fed minimally may attempt to reclaim status in the following nights through strategic alliances or assertive behavior. Cubs observe these interactions closely, learning the unwritten code of their species. Survival here is not only a matter of physical ability, but of social acuity. Research conducted with long-term observation plots in the Kruger National Park demonstrates that cubs who accurately perceive maternal rank and respond accordingly have significantly higher survival rates into adulthood. Meanwhile, the ecological balance of the immediate area stabilizes. Carrion-eating insects and microorganisms continue the breakdown process, returning nutrients to the soil. Grass and shrubs, relieved momentarily from grazing pressure, exploit the small respite. Predators, including hyenas themselves, disperse to patrol the edges of their territory, recalibrating for the next hunt. Each cycle of predation, consumption, and nutrient redistribution reinforces the intricate feedback loops that define the savanna ecosystem. By late afternoon, the clan is largely inactive, resting in the shade, conserving energy and maintaining cohesion through subtle social behaviors, gentle nips, vocal exchanges, and position adjustments within the group. The physical toll of night and the strategic aftermath of survival underscore a simple principle. Life persists through a combination of skill, cooperation, and endurance. Nothing is permanent, nothing guaranteed, yet each individual and each clan adapts to maintain the delicate rhythm of existence across the plains. Night descends once more over the Serengeti, and with it, a quiet that carries both continuity and indifference. The hyenas lie scattered across the plain, their bodies stretched against the earth, breaths slow and even. What unfolded in the darkness, the chase, the collapse of the calf, the feeding, the confrontations with rival predators. It is already memory and muscle and scent absorbed into the ongoing rhythm of survival. There is no triumph here, no sorrow, only the inexorable passage of energy from one form of life to another. The story of these hunters embodies the raw logic of nature. Endurance over speed, intelligence over brute strength, cooperation tempered by hierarchy. Every act is a negotiation with circumstance, a response to hunger, opportunity, and risk. Life persists not through morality or intention, but through adaptation, calculation, and the relentless pursuit of sustenance. In this landscape, the boundaries between predator and prey, dominance and vulnerability, are mutable, observed only in fleeting moments before they dissolve into the next cycle. Yet within this indifference lies a profound order. Ecosystems rely on such forces to maintain balance, to recycle what is lost into what is needed. Hyenas, often vilified, exemplify this principle. Efficient, persistent, and unsentimental, their actions shape the plains in ways both visible and unseen. In watching them, one perceives not cruelty, but the quiet arithmetic of existence, the elegant machinery of survival that governs all life. As dawn edges close on the horizon, the plains breathe again, calm yet ever alert. The hyenas stir, sensing the shifting light and the opportunities it brings. Their story is far from over, and in their endurance, their adaptability, and their intimate integration into the ecosystem, we witness a fundamental truth. Nature continues, indifferent, exacting, and profoundly beautiful.